Hello and welcome to D-Reg Season 2 Round 1 here at the Red Bull Ring. As we take a look at the grid now, we've got Mac on pole in the Lamborghini. He'll be starting on the racing mediums. We've got Season 1 champion Plux on the racing softs in the Cayman and the M4R Pepsi. In a very strong third place we've got Mungino in the Mobile 1 Jaguar. He's starting on a split racing medium racing super soft. And we've got Nijogger in the Ferrari this time round. In 5th position, we've got F1, who's the Sunday League champion. Look for him to be quick. He's starting on softs in the Toyota. And we've got Jammy on super softs in the Lexus. We've now got V8 in the Lamborghini. He was in that Audi last season. Look for him to improve. And Muller in the very nicely done Red Bull livery. He was changing from the BMW to the Citroen. And we've got Daz still in the Lamborghini. He's on softs. Canny's on a split racing medium super softs in the Nissan. We've got Fours in the McLaren. He's starting on racing softs. Ben near the back this time in the BMW, but look for him to come forward. He's starting on racing softs. Leo in the Corvette. He's also on softs. And at the back we've got the Atari livery of Rocker, and he's starting on racing softs. Let's see what happened in the race. And here we are, we're building up to the lights. We've got Mac on pole, Plux in second. Of course, Plux got the great start last time. Let's see what happens this time. Plux has got another great launch off the line. Will he hold him up? Yes, we've got Mungino now attacking Mac into the first corner. Plux is well away. We'll see what happens in the back of shot as well, as we see a couple of cars go wide. But Mungino has got that pass, so Mac's gone from first to third in one corner. As we see another car from down the order a bit, I think that's V8 dropped a few positions, and so is F1. He's down in 7th, but he'll be looking to get moves. Here he comes. Here we all come into that tight third corner. Everyone's clean through here. So we're moving back through the field now. We've got Plux at the front under a bit of attack from Mungino. Of course, Mungino's got the super soft tyres on the rear. That means he's going to have great punch out the corners on these first few laps. Rear tyre wear isn't as powerful as the front tyre wear around this track. So on these opening stints, of course you can have mixed tyre wear. As we look back at the start, here's with Plux. We're going to watch him get away now ahead of... Oh, it's got a much better launch off the line than the four-wheel drive Lamborghini, and so did Mungino there. We're watching from back now. Just got it down the inside. Mac, of course, on those medium tyres isn't going to have quite as good peak grip. As we see from further back this time from F1's perspective. And we see Muller got a pretty good start. He jumped out into the middle of the road as well. Let's see what happens here. Of course, strung out on the outside. A lot of cars might have had to dive from the outside. Yes, they did, just not wanting to accidentally cause any contact. And F1's dropped a couple positions. V8 was the car out on the grass. He lost a position. He overall gained on the field because of course he started 7th. So he found a position. Let's see if he held it against F1. F1's down the inside. No, he's not. It's V8 and a good start. Muller's out on that outside. He's on the hard tyres. He's going long. We're used to this from Muller. He does like to go for the longer stints. So we look further down the grid now. He's under attack. Oh no, sorry, he's attacking F1, but I doubt he'll be able to pull that one off with less grippy tyres. See Leo a little bit wide there. Oh, he bumped off at Fours there on the outside a little bit. I don't think that was intentional contact. The Fours now drops to the back. He's going to have a lot of work to do in that McLaren. As we go through the infield sector on board here with Fours, it's looking a little bit slow there. We're back up at the front. Plux just pulled a little bit of breathing space here from Mungino, but the power of that Jag might pull it back closer through here. In practice, Plux has looked fast through the first two sectors, but very weak off the last two corners. There's F1. He's shaping up a move on V8 Vendetta. Wanting to get back through the field, as we know F1's going to be fast. This is his first time out in D-Rec and he's not doing a full season. Oh, big wide moment there. A few few cars. Jamie's lost a lot of pace. F1 really didn't get a good run off there, but he'll tuck into the slipstream. You can see Nijogger up ahead as well. That gold Lexus very good in a straight line. Here we go, braking down into the tight third corner. Oh, Jamie's gone a bit wide there. That's going to give F1 a really good run down here. Having driven the Toyota myself before, I know that it's not the best in a straight line, but it's pretty good off the corners. But you can see the power of that Lexus coming through. He's going to be trying to just roll it through. I think maybe Jamie broke a little bit. Yes, he touched the gravel there, and that's given the position to F1. We jump forward now to the end of lap 2. See Mungino coming through turn 1. Oh, a bit wide. Oh, got a big oversteer moment out onto the grass. I think Mac's going to come through here. That's not going to be what Plux wants. Plux wants to disappear off at the front like he did last time out in these cars at Tokyo. We've seen Nijogger burning off a little bit of penalties picked up. If the cars are ghosting, that means they're likely to be burning off a little penalty. Nijogger made the switch from the Mazda to the Ferrari. Let's see how that pays off for him this season. Of course, on paper you'd think the Ferrari should be faster every time, but there's a lot of different aspects to these sort of racing. You take into account tyre wear, fuel economy, as well as just raw pace. So now on board, we're going back through the field here. Leo's had a good start, he's up to 10th. Ben, he's made a position 2, where Force, of course, had his incident. Canny, near at the back, he's lost a couple of positions. And Force is already back on the tail of Canny, so he's got good pace in that McLaren, just unfortunate to get shunted out onto the gravel. We didn't get really a good view of it, as we see. Oh, Daz having a good look now. Miller, of course, on those hard tyres in that Citroen. Daz staying with his familiar Mistral Lamborghini. Is very brave to put one down here. Great side-by-side racing. Of course, Leo's now going to catch up. Can he get a run in the Corvette? You'd expect the Corvette to be fairly good in a straight line. Having a look. Can he get it done? Oh. Lewis had to go a little bit wide. He retains the position. The game will probably flag him for a penalty there. And he would argue that he was a little bit forced off the track. As we see Jamie, he's all over the back. Oh, Nijogger's had an incident. We switched the camera to him there. And that's given F1 another almost free position. Nijogger on those split tyres. He's got softs at the rear, mediums at the front. Try and preserve those front tyres. Max through on Mungino as we saw last lap. And they're still fighting through here, but I think F1's going to have this. It's going to be very close though. He's going to have to pull off an absolute worldie of a move to pull this one off. And he's still down that inside. As we see F1. Oh, he goes all the way around the outside on an off-camber corner. That's a very good move there by F1. Really showing why he's the Sunday League champion from last season. Of terrible camera work there, but we're back now with the telecast view. Jamie, this is my tip for one to watch over the next few races. Oh, Daz locked up there, a little bit wide, but kept it all together. First time we've seen a Citroen, and I have to say with Nijogger's Ferrari, first Ferrari we've seen in the series. We'll see how those cars go. On board with fours now. You see we're on board with V8 on lap 4. And there's still good battles here. Muller's slowly dropping through the field as we'd expect. He's on those harder tyres. Oh, he's gone a little bit wide through there. Bends up the inside, but can't quite make it stick. We're on board with Rocker in the Atari livery. Rocker, of course, started at the back. So he's already having a good race. We jump forward now to Nijogger, who seems to really be attacking those front tyres in the Ferrari. Of course, he was a very strong challenger in the championship right up until the last race, where he had a A few unfortunate incidents, dropped down right at the end and lost second place in the championship. Looked like the man to beat for some of the championship. Very fast, very good in qualifying as well. He set himself up with quite a few poles that season. And Mangino now all over the back of him as F1. Did Mangino have another issue through turn 1? F1's having a look, couldn't quite get it done that time. Let's see who gets the better exit. I'd expect it to be Mangino. He had a cleaner entry. F1 was snooting around the back of him. And of course, both going to have slipstream with Mac being right there. Plux has kind of disappeared off at this point in the Cayman, which is exactly what we would expect after the last few races. So we see Mangino made a mistake and F1's through. He's off the podium now. It's still a very strong race from Mangino so far. Jumping forward now, beginning of lap 7, F1's up the inside of Mac. Looks like F1 got a much better exit out of the final corner. Maybe line astern as we come through. Mac using all the track and possibly a bit more, but F1's still getting a great exit while keeping it within the confines of the track. He's going to be in the slipstream as they head up towards turn 3. This is a good overtaking place if you can get it down the inside, or if you're feeling very brave you can go around the outside, but it's quite a tricky move. He does seem to have pulled it off. Late on the brakes. Nice move there by F1. Now all he has to do is chase down race leader Plux. And this is where, 7 laps in, tyre wear is going to become a thing. We can see Plux's tyres are a bit more worn. Oh, he definitely knows that it's F1 behind him now. Plux pushing it right to the limit. F1 looking a little bit smoother in the Toyota. Of course, front engined. Car's going to be a little less snippy. More balanced. So we run back through the field. Mangino down in 4th now under pressure from Nijogger. Nijogger's almost with the leaders here. He seems to have just not quite taken to that Ferrari yet, but we'll expect him to get stronger as the season goes. Seems to have good pace. Jammy down in 6th, but I mean that's a great race from him. F1 in 7th after that early incident on lap 1, but still going strong. Daz in the other Lamborghini. And Rocker's had a great move up the field from 14th to 9th. So we have a look now, see what went on with Muller on the last lap, because he's dropped down a lot of positions. You see Rocker's right there. Wasn't that allowed everyone through on Muller. Seems to have, pretty good pace now. Oh, they're side by side through here again. We saw Miller do this earlier, and I think it just cost him so much time on those hard. Oh, he's gone wide as well. That's going to give him a penalty. The game's very harsh on that sort of positioning. It's now 3 abreast down the main straight. Who's going to come out on top of this? Oh, a bit of contact there for Fours. Fours has come out of nowhere. Get back up with this group. Miller now drops in another position. He's down to 11th. Ben's now the one right behind him in 12th. Canny's right there as well. It's a really good scrap now down at the back of the field. Miller's lost all those positions. What happened to Miller there? Maybe he was trying to burn off that penalty, but he's just given away so much track space. Back on lap 7 now, seeing what happened to him. Oh, at the same time as F1 went through, Mangino made a mistake. So Nijogger's up to 4th position. That's when Mangino lost the position. So they blast down now to the tricky turn 4. This is downhill, it's a little bit off camber. It tricks you into braking late. Oh, Mangino very brave on those brakes. Can he get it pulled up in time and through? I think he can. He does get back past. Nice work there by Mangino. It's having one of his better races. He's been very unlucky throughout the course of the series. Last season seems to start near the front in quite a few races, but every time get clobbered and lose time. This seems to be his best race so far. A nice clean start, really helped him out. He's made a few errors, but it could just be excitement of actually getting through the first few corners clean. It's just been desperate and unlucky. Nothing malicious, of course. Driver's room is very good for hard, clean racing. It's just unfortunate lap 1 incidents always seem to magnetise themselves to Mangino. As opposed to turn 1, we've seen some issues for him in the last couple of laps. Nijogger very late on those brakes. Big wide moment there for him. And again, Mangino wide out of there as we jump back forward to see the gap between the two top drivers. Plux already starting to lose some time on those tyres. F1's going to be catching him now. He's took half a second out of him last lap. Just seems to be a little bit better on the power. He can brake a little bit later. Max staying with them. About a second behind. Mangino still fending off the Ferrari. Nijogger's going to be wanting to, claw a few positions back. And he wants to stay with the championship fight. There's Jamie in 6th. So far looking like another great points haul for him. And V8. Oh, he's put a wheel in the gravel. That's really unfortunate. Just went a little bit hot. Like I said, that corner, it really tricks you. You think you can take far more speed into there than you can. Because it's downhill and slightly off-cam, but this corner is exactly the same. You think you've been, you feel like Superman on the entry, and then you just understeer into the kitty litter. There's Canny. Those front tyres are already starting to wear on the Nissan. We saw that last season. Real issues with front tyre wear. You can get away with having supers on the back, but those front tyres just want to disintegrate on you. He's got Muller all over the back of him, who's on, hard tyres. It's 2 grades. An average 2 grades harder than Canny if you take into account the mediums versus the supers. Better balance, I think, from that Citroen, just on those harder tyres. Oh, there's Canny gone wide. Muller through. We'll see if the power of the Nissan can get him back past. Back up with 4s, of course. He got a nice bundle of positions up to 9th. Ben's in 10th. You can see that Muller really did lose out earlier on. So much track time. V8 7th, 4's 8th. I apologise, 4's 9th. Ben in 10th. Rocker in 8th. Daz after that mistake promoting Ben up into the top 10, and that's the final points playing position. The points are quite tight in these series. There's no big advantage for winning. It's 2 points between the top few positions, then 1 point through the last few. There's V8. He's had a strong race so far. He's really been building his pace recently. Coming out of season 1 into season 2, another strong showing. Like I say, same with Jamie. Nijogger really needs to find a way past Mangino, because I feel like he's got more pace at this time. That Jag looks a bit more nervous than the Ferrari. Here he comes, he's got a better exit this time, he's looking around the outside. He's going to have to take the compromised defensive line. Still manages to give himself plenty of space. And again, they both go wide out of there. And I feel like they're going to have to be picking up some penalty time there. There are some spots around the track where you can burn that time back without having to lose, lift off down a straight. If you build up too much, yes, definitely. Look, both of them are ghosting now. They're both burning off penalty time. Oh, big tail slide there from Mangino. That's a shame. It looked like Nee had run wide. And he could have got back on the power, but Nee's through. It was a good move. Set him up. Let Mangino make his own little errors. As we're back on board now, this is lap 10. F1's closed the gap down massively. It was at 4.8 seconds when he overtook Mac. That looks more like maybe 1.5, 2 seconds. And I think it's that tyre wear again. Plux hasn't had to fight anyone in the Group 4s up until this point. He's kind of had a serene life in that Cayman, where he could get away with burning out his tyres a little bit too quickly. Now he's got a real close challenger. I think maybe Plux has gone too hard too early on those tyres, and F1, despite having to move through the field, has been a bit kinder to them. And you can see he's noticeably faster at that final corner. Let's see what the lap time difference is. pace a lot quicker this lap as well. Cut the gap down again. Both of them running up onto that yellow curb but not letting themselves go over it. That's how you don't get a time penalty while maximising the track. There's Jammy. Oh, big moment there. Mangino. Oh no! Oh dear, that looks like it might be game over for Mangino there. A lot of incidents as we jump back towards the rear of the field. We've got Ben here on lap 11, fighting with fours. Both these cars on racing soft tyres. It's going to come down to who looked after their tyres better. Also taking into account fuel. Some cars are going to burn their fuel quite quickly. I know the BMW is quite heavy on fuel. The only advantage to that is whilst you have to have a longer pit stop, technically you've got a lighter car, so it is a bit quicker. You do trade that off by having longer pit stops. You might not actually be able to do a one stop in the BMW, or some of the cars will be aiming for a one stop. You see, going through, yeah, he's definitely got better front tyre wear, and more confidence on the tyres at this point, you could say. Forces better through that second part onto the straight. BMW not really closing like we saw in Tokyo. It's all about aerodynamic cross section as well as how much power you got, but that was a nice exit from Ben. Let's see if he can close him down this time. It's going to be close. Going to launch one down the inside. No, he's not. He's going to see if maybe falls out, breaks himself. They both pull it up fairly nicely. Back on the power early. C4s. Also able to keep ahead. F1 now. Seems to be keeping him at bay. I wonder if either of them are going for the two-stop and pitting this time. Is coming through. Oh, it looks like he's bailed out going for the pits, and that's cost him so much time. That's cost him around a second. All of his margin he had by umming and ahhing over the pit lane. This has given F1 a great chance to possibly take the lead. If we go back on board with Plux, F1. Oh, look how close they are through that first corner. No contact. You would have heard the bang. That was just millimetre perfect by F1. He's got the nice run out of there. You can see the slight difference in the two cars though. The Porsche does have slightly better exit speed, but the F1's car got the slipstream, got the toe. He's diving for the inside. Plux has left the door open. F1 says thank you very much, I'll take that. But there, and Plux has managed to hold it around the outside. What a great defence by the champion from season 1. He's not letting this go easy. As we come down now, I think F1 is a little bit too far back to have a go, but he's managed to hold a tighter line again. He's going to be on that inside. Plux cuts the door off this time. Doesn't allow him to have a look. He's going to be flooding his mirrors though, see if he can make the Porsche driver make a mistake. And we haven't seen how the Cayman is in a dogfight this entire season. Last season, sorry. Kind of disappeared off. Didn't have to worry too much about other cars. I think Plux is in real trouble here. He's definitely... Look how much more damage he's done to his front tyres. They're about the same on fuel. But look at that. F1 just carries much better exit speed. I think there's a real issue there with Plux's strategy. He's gone too hard too early against a driver who's as good if not better, we're seeing here. Oh, F1 sensing the determination, the urgency in Plux's driving. That's the first mistake we've seen from Plux. Let's see if Plux gives him the inside this time. No, he's forcing him right to the edge. Then he pulls back over. He's trying to retake the racing line, but he's given up the inside again. This time, we see F1 gets the move done and gets the better exit. Plux couldn't find something on the cutback. He will have the slipstream. Will he go for it? This would be a banzai move, which we haven't seen from Plux. He hasn't really shown any banzai moves. No, he just settles back into second, or a bit of a slide as well from that mid-engine Cayman. And now F1. He's managed to pull 5 seconds back and take the position. And I expect to see Plux in this time with those tyres worn out. Doesn't gain anything just sitting behind a car with better tyres. But at the same time, that would definitely stop him from being able to do a one-stop strategy. We're looking around 36, 37 laps today. So back on board with Mac, holding down a strong third. Knee Jogger's gapped Jammy by a fair bit, so it's kind of a 2-horse race for first and a 2-horse race for third. V8's actually down to 8th. He's lost position to 4th. We do see Plux come in. He's got about half a tank of fuel left. See the champion squad get to work. We've got Knee Jogger through on him. Mac's gone through. See where Plux slots in. Takes a splash of fuel. You can see him rolling out the pit lane now. It's a long stop here as well. That's one of the downsides of trying to do a 2-stop, is you've got to make up quite a lot of time. There's Jammy. He's definitely not going to be getting past Plux. There's F1. So now all F1 has to do is to manage those tyres. He's probably going for the... If he doesn't pit this time, I'd expect him probably to be going for the 1-stop, which I think is the better strategy, if you can make it work. Still looking like he's got reasonably good pace in that car. So we dropped that back down to Muller. Of course, with some cars have pitted, that's promoted Muller back up to 7th place. On those hard tyres, we'd expect him to go to either softs or supers when he does finally pit. As Grimlock said in his video in the final season, we were hoping to see Muller do something more like this, go for those longer strategies. He's really good on his tyre wear, he can keep the pace up, just hasn't quite put it into effect yet. New car, new season, he's trying something new out. And there's V8, he's gone for a white livery on the Lamborghini this time. And there's Daz in the Mistral, the gold rims. There's Rocker in the Atari Jaguar. We've all seen that paint job a few times. There's Fours in the other Red Bull livery car. We are hearing reports that maybe Red Bull will be pulling their sponsorship, and Fours will be sponsored by someone else for the next few rounds. And there's Leo in the Howl car. Sorry, the bar car. Michelin sponsorship. We jump forward a couple of laps now. Plux is setting purple sectors, but he's not very far up on the best lap time, and if you take into the fact, like I said earlier, Plux hasn't had good final sectors, he might not get the purple lap time, even on his fresh tyres, but he will be closing down F1. The gap's probably around 15-16 seconds at this point. Plux, of course, had a fairly short pit stop because he didn't have to take much fuel on. Giving it everything he can out of that corner. You saw the body roll in the car. That is a new fastest lap on purple. Closing down Mac on those old medium tyres. He's going to be feeling the understeer in that car. And there's F1 still getting good pace. Still in the 38s on tyres which have done 16 laps. That is a very impressive performance so far. Of course, F1 debuting in D-Rec this time in the Endurance Championship. He won in the sprint in the Sunday League. You see Jammy setting a purple sector. He's just coming to the pits. Oh, a bit wide there though. That might have got him a penalty. At the very least, it really upset his exit out of that corner. He is closing in on Knee Jogger. Knee Jogger with those very worn tyres. Back with Mac. struggling through that middle sector. Just trying to be smooth. We saw last season Mac be blisteringly fast, but then throw it off the road a few times. He's hoping for a much, I think, safer, more controlled season. He's shown he's got the pace. He's just got to put it all together for an hour, and there should be some race wins in for him. Plux there, in the Cayman. Of course, got that lightning start. He's going to be kicking himself that he's given away a strategic advantage, I think, to F1, and you know, been overtaken on track. See Nijogger in the pits this time. Jammy pitted early. Of course, he started on the supers. They wore out quite quickly. So see V8. He'll go through on Nijogger, but he hasn't pitted yet. So we see another battle here for that sixth. And those midfield spots. This time it's Daz on Ben. And that's a nice move there. See if Ben can get a good exit. And there's Plux. Oh, he's right behind Mac. He's really going for it. I think Plux set another purple lap last time round, so he's really pushing on those fresh soft tyres. If F1's going for a one stop, he might be in this time, maybe next time if it feels like it's going to be a 37 lap race. But Plux, oh look at the amount of pace, the amount of gap he just shortened it by. It's all over the back of Mac. He's going to be pressuring him. Mac looking wide. Oh, has Mac run over the gravel? He has. He's kind of lost all momentum there. And as Plux sweeps around the outside, that was kind of gifted to him. He didn't have to fight for it. Two cars, much different pace through there now. Mac going long again. Maybe he'll go to lap 19 as we do see F1 coming to the pits, but he's burnt a lot of fuel. He's going to have to take some fuel in. Of course, he's only doing the one stop. That will give Plux the position. He was only a few seconds, maybe a second or so behind F1 when he pitted. So I expect the gap to be around 16 seconds, I think, when F1 comes out. F1 probably won't have that many cars to pass because a lot of cars are coming in this time. Someone's in the pit lane right now, that's Ben. And you can see there's the difference right there. I was telling you about earlier, the BMW burns so much fuel. It's down to 11 litres. We saw F1 and the Toyota at 30 litres on the same lap. I should really be talking about what's going on screen. We can see Rocker now diving it down the inside of Muller. As we're back with Nijogger here. Making a slightly over zealous braking manoeuvre on those fresh tyres, but he's trying to get some speed and some pace back. As we see F1 now, he's gone for another set of supers. He's going to be running to the end, I think. He's got about 3/4 of a tank of fuel. And he's just going to try and be consistent, be fast on these opening tyres, but not burn too much on these opening laps on the tyres. He's really shown himself to be, I think, the class of the field this race so far. I think it would take a lot for Plux to catch him, because we know Plux will have to pit again. There's Mac. Probably coming in this time. As he runs through. Yeah, he's not accelerated. I think he's going to... Yeah, here he goes. Dives in. Bit of a late entry. Keeps it on the grass, off the grass. Yeah, Mac's done very well on his fuel. I think he's been managing that. So there's the gap. It's about the length of the front straight between second place F1 and Plux in first. Jammy in third place. Of course, he pitted early. He's got this very, very, very extreme undercut. He will have to pit again fairly soon. I think it was a very good strategic move by Jammy. Got himself out of the dirty air, got himself track position. And now he's just going to see if he can hold on and score some good points. And there's Mac coming out in 5th place. We're jumping forward now. This is Mac. He's going around the outside of V8. Both in the same car. Much fresher tyres on Mac. Oh, but he has run wide there. That will be a penalty. He'll be banged to rights by the game on that. As See Daz now coming in. Oh, there's a yellow flag. Oh, Daz has lost it on the pit entry. That's an absolute nightmare. He's reversing down the pit lane. Oh no, the game's reset him. That's awful luck. He's going to have to do a whole nother lap, and of course, re-accelerate where everyone's doing about 100 miles an hour. He's going to be doing about 50. That's awful luck. He's done a bit of a David Coulthard in Adelaide. Ruined his race in the pit lane. There's Ben out on those fresh tyres in 12. And Canny, he's fighting with a Daz, who's going to be absolutely kicking himself for that error. Just pushed a little bit too hard on old tyres. Canny's going to get that position because Daz's going to have no tyres to fight with. Let's pause. Having a quiet race after early errors. Early misfortune, let's say. There's Nee in 7th. Of course, he's pitted. I believe Rocker and V8 haven't pitted. Those two very close on track. Similar strategies. Let's see how their race shakes out. I think they could be quite close by the end of this race. Ferrari does seem to be going a bit better than that Tenza for Nijogger last season, where he really struggled with that, and it was a bit of a boat in my opinion. Didn't seem to have any, of the good qualities of a four-wheel drive car, good acceleration and reasonable top end. It just seemed to be an absolute boat through the corners and a brick in the straight line. So I think him getting out of that car is a good move. For those who don't know, in the Endurance Championship you get to change one car per season. That's to stop people changing every single car and trying to kind of choose the meta cars. So we see Matt get through there. There's Plux in first, but he will have to pit again. He's trying to scamper away if he can, or at least hold the gap as far apart from him and F1 as possible. It's made a tall order. I think F1's got this, maybe not comfortably, but I think he's got enough in hand to make this work. I think it will require a perfect race from Flux. He can't afford any errors or penalties. F1 I think has got a bit more margin. He doesn't have to push hard every single lap, because even if Flux catches up to the back of him, he's still got to overtake him. But F1's definitely not taking it easy. That was right out as wide as he could go. I think he'll just about get away with no penalty. He does set a new fastest lap of the race as well. Mac pushing very hard as well. He's wide through those corners. Trying to use all the track and possibly even a little bit more. There's Rocker in 6th. It's a good performance from him. Remember, he started last, but he hasn't pitted yet. Turn 1, you can see just how much the cars struggle to turn in when they've got those old tyres on the front. This track, it's hard enough to turn in around a lot of these corners because they're off camber. This really shows just how bad it can be. Daz has finally made it back round. I think maybe he struggled with fuel there. And there's Leo, he's been lapped already. He's not fighting these cars. It's where you can see the blue flag at the top of the screen telling him to get out of the way. Doing a great job of being courteous and letting the faster guys through. There's Ben in 11th. He's dropped a few positions since his pit stop. Let's see how he does. If his late stop works. He did start on the soft, so he should be fine to the end on tyres. It very much comes down to, can that big boaty BMW do alright on fuel? The race has kind of opened out recently. There's Jamie pitting again. He'll probably go to the end on those tyres, but I really think that strategy worked for Jamie because he hasn't quite got that outright top pace that Plux and F1 and Mac do. So he's trying to use strategy to vault himself up the order, give himself some clean air, and therefore make positions that way. You can see V8's in the pits as well, so he's going to stay in the same sort of area as V8. He could nab himself a top 5, top 6 result out of that. Taking a bit of fuel there, or quite a lot of fuel probably will need to be taken by Vendetta there, but he's had a good race, and like I said, you know, he's another driver who's really building their pace over the last season, who's coming to this season in a much better position. Canny, one of the drivers I think improved also over the last season. He's kind of got to grips with certain cars. He had that really good result at Blue Moon in the Group 1 cars, the hardest cars to drive, or the fastest cars to drive. And there's Plux, still in first. He'll be pitting in the next couple of laps though, probably. There's F1, he's definitely closing him down. Of course, he's got those fresh tyres, or fresher tyres, let's say. He pitted a few laps ago now. Those tyres are lasting better on the Toyota, and as the fuel comes off, they'll last even better. Slightly contrasting styles. F1 seems to go for the slightly later apex, get on the power in a straighter line. Plux goes for the slightly earlier, narrower, tighter line. You can see Daz letting Plux through. Daz is on very fresh tyres. Plux may struggle to pull away. Daz is no slouch, he just seems to have no luck. He's another driver like Mungino, who we lost earlier on in the race. Oh, big rear tail slide from Plux. He probably broke a little too late for the corner, had to stamp on those brakes to kick the tail out to scrub the speed off. That won't help the tyre life. You can see it's come through around 80 miles an hour through the apex. Cayman is a good car, we saw that last season. It had a really easy time beating the field. Let's see what... So yeah, about the same apex speed, but that slightly later apex allows F1 to stamp on the power a little harder to get better, cleaner exits. There's Plux. And look, like I said, that Lamborghini's sticking to the back of him like glue. This is not going to be helping Plux. Doesn't like having a car on his back bumper. And not that it's Daz's fault, he has every right to be there on the track. He let him through, expecting him to disappear, and now Daz is like, well, why did I let you through? I've got more pace. You should be letting me through. Jumping a little bit forward. F1 trying to attack on those fresh tyres. Catch up to the back of Muller. Of course, Muller hasn't pitted yet. I think he's probably going to try and pit this time, looking at that fuel. He's going to be very slow through this corner. And there's V8. Oh, a little bit of a punt there. And that's put Muller out. Oh, he just about manages to get it in through into the pit lane. Doesn't run the risk like Daz did. As you can see, actually, Leo, because he ran through that clean, that's how much time you lose just by being around another car in that final two corners. Leo will probably try and unlap himself, actually, if he can get away with it. There's Nee down in 6th. Running, really uses all the track he can, and probably a little more than he should. The penalty might be dinged on him again. And there's Rocker having a clean race. Remember, he started last in this race and is up to 7th. Biggest mover in the race. Oh, that'll be Plux coming in for his second stop. I said he'd have to. But with only around 10 laps left, he might go for supers. Try and go for the risky... Well, we'll go for the fastest tyre he can. And there's F1. Still banging in those good lap times. He's going to really struggle, Plux, I think. We'll have to take a bit of fuel. He can't take too much, though. I think he might be taking a bit too much on there, actually. Around 40 litres, that's more than he probably needs. Let's see where Plux comes out. Is he going to be second or third? He's going to stay in second. Just about stays out ahead of Mac. That's really helpful. If he had dropped behind Mac, that would be game over. But now he knows what he needs to catch. F1's about halfway down there he is, halfway down the short chute between turn 2 and 3. Plux has just got to chase him down. Everyone's just got to hold on to those tyres. There's about, I don't know, 9 laps of this race left. And he's got around 14 seconds to take out of him. It's almost 2 seconds a lap if he wants any chance at actually overtaking him on the final lap. There's Jammy. Another great race by Jammy. 4th position. He's pitted for his last time. I think he's driven the best race he possibly could. He started in 6th. Of course, we lost Mung, and Nijogger seems to have kind of dropped off the pace a bit here. He's making some errors, trying to get around the back of Leo. Leo's been very fair and is allowing people through. I think he's getting a little bit impatient with the Ferrari. But like I say, it is showing better than the Atenza. The Atenza seems to just be hanging on, hoping the boat wouldn't throw him off. There's Muller, he's pitted again. Well, he's pitted, we saw that, he's out in the supers. Let's see what pace he can get. Like I said earlier, I think that Citroen in the Red Bull livery looks fantastic. It's a shame the real Red Bull Formula 1 cars don't look like that, because I think that's an excellent livery. Nice work there by Muller. Like I say, 4s for now in Red Bull. But I've heard some rumours that might be changing to a different sponsor. And I'll let you know when that happens next, in the first race, when we do our grid walk. 4s, he's picked up a position. There's Canny, he's also picked up, well, he's dropped one off from where he started. But he is on fresh tyres now, see if he can close in on 4s. There's Daz, he's been a real loser, but we know why he's lost out throughout the race. He's been a big loser, mostly because of his own issue. Pushed it too hard into the pits, lost it. The game is pretty brutal on letting you turn around in the pit lane. That Mistral car always looks good, especially the Lamborghini variant of the car. And Leo, you know, not the greatest of drives in terms of pure pace. Good solid drive, haven't seen him made any mistakes, and at the end of the day in an hour-long race the most important thing is to not make mistakes and execute. As we see talking about mistakes, like if Plux made a mistake there, and I think that might have cost him a chance at fastest lap. And that's, of course, you know, that's worth a point, and I think Plux absolutely threw that away. It looked like he was probably up, and he probably lost 3-4 tenths through there, running off wide. He would have lost speed, so he picked up a penalty. Jumping forward now to lap 32, F1's still got a comfortable lead. Those tyres are hanging on. Still setting good lap times as he comes up to the back of Daz. There's Plux, he's still fair ways back. Those tyres are holding on okay, but he's got a lot more fuel than F1, and I think that's really where Plux has lost some time. The fuel flow in this game is very slow. Gravity-fed systems. There's Mac in 3rd place, just having a comfortable race. Good, strong podium. He'll get the point for pole as well. So as long as if Plux doesn't set a fastest lap as it runs, it'll be F1 in the championship lead, and then only 1 point between Plux and Mac. There's Jammy. I've already said I think he's had a great race, really executed well, taking advantage of some problems for Mung. There's V8. He's had a good race as well. Up in the 5th position. He has got Rocker kind of bearing down on him. These two both had great races. Rocker especially. Kept out of trouble, had good pace. And so maybe he just didn't put it together in qualifying. So there's Rocker in the Atari car. Everyone's very familiar with that car now. And again, setting good, you know, consistent lap times. Not setting the world alight, but this is an hour-long race. If you try and get the fastest lap every race, you won't get it and you'll burn your tyres out. and he'll make mistakes. There's Knee in the 7th position. That Ferrari does sound brilliant though. I'll give him one thing. And there's Ben in the Moose Racing car, BMW. He'll be missing a couple of rounds due to being Canadian and their time zone changing before the UK time zones, making it impossible for him to get in for the race. There's Muller. Seems to be kind of pulling back towards the front of the field, pulling away from Force there. And there's Force holding on from Canny, and I said Canny was going to be looking a bit quicker than Force. Canny on the fresher tyres. He's starting to hound the back of that McLaren. Force definitely struggling with understeer. You can see how wide he went, how much tighter to the line Canny was. And of course the thing with being the hunter is you can see the other car make mistakes. You can judge your braking distance based on that. You can, sacrifice, brake a little bit earlier, get the nose in tighter and get on the power better. It's much easier to attack than defend, I think, in these cars. We saw that with F1 on Plux earlier, we saw that on F1 on basically everyone in the field earlier, but we saw that also with cars like Muller, who had the, worse tyres, yes, but also other cars could judge themselves off of him and therefore get on the power earlier, force him into making a mistake because he's trying too hard. And that gave them a real chance to get through on cars like Muller or cars like Daz early on. Plux, he's not really closing in fast enough, I think. There's only going to be 3-4 laps left, and F1 still has a healthy enough lead. I think it's about 6 seconds. Plux's tyres will burn off, and I have heard reports that Plux has picked up a few seconds of penalties that it's going to have to burn off. And of course F1 has got Daz in between himself and Plux, which will help. You can see Rocker, he's closing back in on V8. These two have both had great races. Not a lot of fuel left in that Lamborghini. He's going to have to start fuel saving because there's at least 2 more laps left. Unless he's going to go in for a splash, but that would be a real unfortunate way to finish the race. We see Rocker, he's got plenty of fuel, plenty of tyres in that Jag. There's Bridgestone tyres working well. There's Rocker clearing any penalty he had, just as V8 goes wide and probably cost himself some penalty. You can see how much gap he pulled by doing that. And there's F1, still got a comfortable gap. If you look on the mini-map, the second car back probably is Plux, closing him in. And he still is closing him in, but it's the rate at which he's closing isn't quite fast enough. There's only 2.5 minutes left of this race. As Plux throwing it at the final corner, keeping it within the track limits. He is going for it still. I think Plux has put a little bit too much fuel in. There's Daz letting him through, so he's lost his buffer. Going to be maximum attack from Plux. You can see, look at that tail end sliding. We didn't see this at all from Plux in the Cayman in the last season. The biggest mistake we saw was when he first saw a car again after 20 laps of being on his own. He ran wide and almost into the wall at Tokyo. The only other time we saw the Cayman have issues was a technical issue where there was a wheel issue. And there's Jammy, 4th place. He's almost out of fuel as well, but this will be probably his last lap. Like I say, he had a great race there. V8 still holding on. Look how little fuel he's got left. He's been in the red for a long while. Rocker's going to be pulling him in. As we know, Rocker burnt off as much penalty as he could, so he knew whatever he was attacking with, that was everything he had. This will be the final lap for these boys. The leaders will get one more, I think. They'll be on lap 37 when it's the end. There you go, there's the V8 having to burn off penalty. What can Rocker do? He's got to take what he's got and throw it at the track. See if he can force V8 into a mistake, force V8 to burn too much fuel, force V8 to brake too late and burn up the last of his tyres. And also force V8 not to be able to burn off his penalty, because Rocker could get this without having to overtake on track. You can see how much more fuel he's got, because V8's obviously fuel saving. And Rocker's just closed the gap completely. He's all over the back of him through that middle sector as we go on board with V8. Gets a better exit out there, but let's see how much power he's down by. Rocker's already closing him in. This time by, it's going to be the final lap. There's confirmation. He's down the inside. Right, Rocker's done him. He's managed to do him. Oh, a bit of contact through that final corner between the two. A little bit of a chrome horn from V8. But he is going to hold on because of that. Oh, that's the closest I think we've seen a finish in D-Rec. What a great race from those two. Jammy comes home in 4th. Mac's going to come home in a distant 3rd. There's Plux, there's V8. The gap's down to about 3 seconds. And I said Plux cost himself at least half a second, maybe a second in that final sector when he was trying to set the fastest lap. And he overfueled the car. But at the end of the day, what really matters here is F1 pulled off a masterclass of strategy. He closed Plux down in the opening laps, he's held on to great tyre wear, and he's going to deservedly take the first position. Great win by F1. Really strong statement almost. There's Plux burning off some penalty. And he did get down to the red on fuel. That's the 2nd place for the champion. Here's Mac in 3rd, our pole sitter. We'll pick up that bonus point. It will only be a point between him and Plux in the standings, and we know F1's not doing a full season, so these two are not quite the de facto leads in the championship, but effectively are. But there's Mac in 3rd. So as we take a look at the standings, we'll see F1 does lead, but we know he's not doing a full season, but he had a great race and really put down a great statement win there. Plux in 2nd, possibly threw it away on strategy. We've got Mac in 3rd, getting that point for pole. Jammy in 4th, a really good strong drive by him. V8 in 5th, Rocker 6th, Ben in 7th, Muller in 8th. Nijogger down in 9th, and then we've got 10 points for everybody else. So thank you very much for watching. We'll catch us next time in the Group 2 cars at Dragon Trail Seaside 2.